Good afternoon, and for those of you visiting our great city, welcome to Harrisonburg. Today we are recognizing a tremendous step in the right direction toward making Harrisonburg a city for all. The funding we are celebrating today will go a long way towards sustaining our community's access to clean water while doing so in an environmentally conscious way. So we are excited to know that Harrisonburg has Senator Warner's support as we look to continue our mission of ensuring community resiliency and protecting our national environment. Harrisonburg is a community with extraordinary beauty and an abundance of natural assets. We prioritize protection of these natural assets: air, streams, mountains, trees, and open space, critical to maintaining our quality of life and vibrant economy. Taking this action to upgrade water infrastructure is aligned with our goals for Harrisonburg's sustainable future. In order to learn more about this project, I'd now like to recognize Mr. Mike Collins, the Director of Harrisonburg Public Utilities, who can speak more to the importance of the Western Raw Water Line and the work his team does every day for our community. Now, I told Mike, keep it short. That's an inside joke, right? Come on up, Mike.
Thank you, Mary Reed. I do want to make it short, but just a little perspective here. I want to get there's some general perspectives to understand this project. I want you to understand that in order to understand this project, you have to understand the legacy projects that Harrisonburg's completed in the past. This project actually replicates 3 of our 5 legacy projects. Only this time when we undertake it, we'll be focusing on continuity, health, and sustainability. So let me just tell you a little short history about Harrisonburg's water. In 1779, up around Court Square, Thomas Harrison deeded a little property in the spring to Harrisonburg, and for 100 years, that was the backbone and foundation of Harrisonburg. But that didn't remain a legacy project. What happened was, 100 years later, City Council petitioned the Raleigh Springs Turnpike to lay a water line 10 miles to the west by pick and shovel. That was the beginning of the legacy project. 1920s, we repeated it for growth reasons. 1950s, we repeated it again for growth reasons. At that point in time, we capped out a pristine water source to the west. The 70s, we turned direction. We went to Bridgewater for the North River. Since the turn of the century, we've been looking east to the Shenandoah, all in terms of water supply. But this project here takes us back to the first 3 legacy projects. What will happen in this project is we will take and abandon the 1898 water line that was laid by pick and shovel and transition the 1950 water line into potable water status. We'll create a new water line that will give us the opportunity to optimize that dry river source to the west, which I'll talk about the benefits in just a moment. Matter of fact, I'll talk about them now. 3 reasons, 3 purposes: continuity, water quality, sustainability. From a continuity standpoint, all those customers that we've served in that turnpike land since the turn of the century, we'll be able to continue that for 50 to another 100 years. And that it also includes the poultry industry that exists at Hinton. The second thing is water quality. That water at Dry River is pristine. There's no human activity there. There's no industrial activity there. What that means is that our water supply in Harrisonburg will have zero risk of things like contaminant from the raw water source or byproducts from chlorine from the treatment plant. And finally, sustainability. That water comes from Dry River completely by gravity. By using that source, we'll save 2,000 to 3,500 kilowatts of electricity. For every 1,000,000 gallons we bring from there, we save it from using in another source. So the opportunities here, we have engaged in that project earlier. We've came to a little bit of a standstill. to go on to other priorities. But I want to send a special thank you to City Council for their resolution of April 12th, 2022 in making submittal for this application. And I want to thank Senator Warner for the financial support for this project. I think, and I'm hoping you'll be pleased, because our goals, I think, are synonymous with yours. Number one, this is a real benefit to keep our local economy going, including the ag and poultry industry, with a special twist there. It's a relationship, a continued relationship between the city and the county with supplying our customers to the west. It's a really unique project because it has an environmental twist to it. Most projects, when you pursue raw water, are anti-environmental, and we have to worry about this. As I said, is a environmentally sensitive project from the standpoint that will mitigate electrical use in the future. And finally, we have water quality coming from there that every utility in the state would beg to have. So I hope that meets your goals. And with that, I just say, as soon as we take that check, we'll immediately re-engage in the efforts of the past. And where workers stood 125 years ago with a shovel and pick, we're going back there and we're going to repeat, not with a shovel and pick, with modern day technology and equipment, but we'll be right back at it. So I want to thank you, Senator Warner, and thank you very much.
Mike did his job. And nobody talk about water like Mike Collins. Mike, I want to tell you on behalf of the City Council, thank you so much for the work that you have done and your team has done for the city of Harrisonburg. Let's give Mike another round of applause. So now before I turn the floor over to Senator Warner, let me tell you all how happy I am to know he is looking out for us in Washington. Now in his third term, Senator Warner serves as chairman of the Select Committee on Intelligence and as a member of the Senate Finance, Banking, Budget, and Rules Committees. During his time in the Senate, Senator Warner has established himself as a bipartisan leader who works across the aisles to accomplish real solutions for Virginians. He has served as a key author and negotiator of several pieces of critical legislation aimed at rebuilding our nation's infrastructure, improving cybersecurity, restoring domestic manufacturing, protecting national security, rebounding from the COVID-19 crisis, and investing in underserved and underbanked communities. Senator Warner has been recognized as a national leader in fighting for families, hardworking Virginians, and our brave service members. Senator Warner has been a tireless advocate for our safer, stronger, more prosperous Virginians. And we in Harrisonburg can certainly vouch for that. Senator Warner, on behalf of the Harrisonburg City Council and all in our community, please let me tell you how much we appreciate everything that you, Senator King, and your colleagues have done to help us as we strive to make Harrisonburg the best place it can be for all who call it home. I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to also thank Senator Warner as Harrisonburg moves forward on investing nearly $24 million in federal American Rescue Plan Act funds into our community. From a new fire station that will improve response time across the community, to a homeless service center that will serve people most in need at Harrisonburg, to numerous parks and recreation projects that will allow our community to come together and enjoy our great outdoors, to street improvements in our historic Northeast neighborhood, and so much more. ARPA funds are going to serve every community member in some way. We know this would not be possible without your service, and we are very excited to show you the fruit of that labor in the coming years, and many of these projects come to fruition. So, Senator Warner, we will have you back for a ribbon cut ceremony. And as always, it is a pleasure to have you here. You are a friend of Harrisonburg. Let me introduce to you Senator Mark Warner.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for that warm welcome. It is great to be back in Harrisonburg. Great to be back in the Valley. Mike, I love the fact that you love water that much. I didn't wonder when you were going back and started to tell the story of water for the community and the county and the Valley. When you started in 1789, I didn't know whether you were going to be that brief. I do have a question for you. We'll take this money we talked about in a moment and go back and restart that project that initially was originally 1898, was right? And can I ask you, Mike, was Larry Rogers involved in that
He's still my friend.
You know, for all of you who are young or connect with JME, I used to come to Harrisonburg when Larry Rogers was the new young guy. That gives you any indication of how long I've been coming as governor and now senator. And my apologies for being a little bit late. I can't even blame it on 81. I was with a group of folks around the Ag Bill up in Clark County, and they had a lot to say, and I know I'm going to get with some of our friends in the poultry industry after this session, go down and talk about again, the Ag Bill, which is still bipartisan, I'm proud to say. But particularly, as somebody, again, dating myself, Madam Mayor, that I remember my first year governor, got elected in 2001, started in 2002, and by about mid-2002, we ended up with one of the worst cases of avian flu for probably the next 20 years. And so I am one of the few senators that know about high path and low path avian flu, and we're going to go and talk about that in a moment. Now, Mike, you stole all my good lines, but this Western Wall water line is really important to the community. It is really important for the industry and the industry. I recall again that it was under a certain governor, I'm not going to call which one, that when the state helped provide some resources so we could do the poultry co-op in Hinton. It's still got 500 growers that are engaged in it, and making sure we've got that pristine water for both the community and for our agribusiness is really important. So we are going to do I'm going to do the money shot, literally and figuratively, in a moment. But I want to spend one more minute and just say, and the mayor mentioned this, you know, the last couple of years, and if depending on the TV channel you watch, you wouldn't necessarily believe this, and I say that with equal opportunity to Fox and MSNBC, but the last couple of years, candidly, we've got a whole lot of stuff done in Washington, and virtually every bit of it has been bipartisan. That doesn't come off sometimes on the TV reporting, but whether it was the infrastructure bill, whether it was the CHIPS bill, whether it was the guns bill, whether it was the veterans bill, whether it was the Electoral Count Act, and a series of others, there are a group of us that are actually trying, still in Washington, to work together in what's in the best interest of our Commonwealth and our country. And one of the things that this is coming out of, these funds are coming out of, is that infrastructure bill. You know, we've been talking about infrastructure reinvestment, gosh, for 4 years. Didn't matter who was in the White House, you know, people would say it's going to be time for infrastructure. We never got it done. But we got it done now. $55 billion actually going to go into water projects around the country. And Mike, I think this may not be the last you see of federal support. And that's going to be extraordinarily important for this project, but for future projects. I was thinking coming in, I remember, you know, when we were earlier on, before we passed the infrastructure bill, we were out on 81, and I was looking at the bridge. You know, and I'm glad to see the construction has started there as well. And God knows, Lord knows, we've been talking about improving 81 and making it safer for 20, 30 years. And you know, we're going to see significant improvements on 81. One of the things that the mayor didn't mention, but it is important because it is still needed in both the city and in the county. It's needed in urban areas as well as rural areas, and that's broadband. And we have, from some of the ARPA money earlier, but also there is a whole lot of additional funds coming from the Commerce Department on broadband. Matter of fact, if we don't get 98% of all Virginians with high-speed, affordable broadband connections by 2025, it will be on us as a failure to execute, not a failure of resources. We've got more than enough resources kind of in the till to make sure that that becomes a reality. And I think we all know in the post-COVID world, the notion of broadband, high-speed internet connectivity is not a nice to have. It is absolutely essential. So these funds here, they come from, we do in Washington though sometimes change our names. This used to be called an earmark. Now it's congressionally designated spending. That sounded really good. And on that note, let me get everybody, and Mike, you in the front here. We're going to get everybody in front of the Mike. Come on, Mike. You're the water guy. Everybody. Larry, this one's for you.